Welcome to r/slash Entitled Kids, where an entitled girl explodes in a clothing store. So, I was with my mom in a store called Primark, randomly looking for clothes just for the sake of shopping. After we'd picked some stuff we liked, we headed for the changing rooms to see if everything looked okay on us. Where we decided to just use one stall as my mom only had one shirt to try on. And after she was done, I used the same stall so there would be an extra one free for others to use. As I was waiting for my mom to change, I stood in front of the stall next to us waiting when I felt someone tapping my shoulder with an, "Excuse me?" No, don't worry, it wasn't a Karen. The tapping was gentle, the voice wasn't rude, and when I turned around, the lady didn't have a typical haircut, sunglasses, obesity, and all that. "Sorry, are you planning to go into that stall?" "Huh? Oh, no, go ahead." "Thank you. Come on, entitled kid." The Brat's mom looked over her shoulder at a girl who looked about 13 or something, who was glaring at everything like she wished everything would be set on fire. Entitled Kid gave a dramatic sigh and rolled her eyes so far she could probably see the back of her head before stomping inside. "It's not like anything you picked will actually look good." The kid's mom looked very embarrassed and smiled sheepishly at me, which I returned, unsure what else to do. My mom stepped outside, and sadly, the shirt didn't look as good on her as we hoped, so she quickly changed into her own clothes. I myself had a ton of things to try on and try matches on to decide if I had something it would fit with. But all this time, I could hear Entitled Kid and her mom arguing the whole time, as Entitled Kid apparently hated everything her mom had picked out, and Kid's mom hated everything Entitled Kid had picked. Only, while the kid's mom just talked at a normal volume, Entitled Kid made it a point to scream insults at everything. Both me, my mom, and multiple others around were annoyed by her behavior, but nobody said anything. When I stepped outside to show some shirt I was wearing, I held a smaller size out to my mom while agreeing we liked the one I was wearing. The kid's mom was standing next to my mom looking tired when she saw the smaller shirt I had and her eyes lit up a bit. "I'm sorry, but what size is that shirt?" "It's a medium. Why?" "Would you mind if my daughter would try it on?" "Sure, go ahead." Just as my mom handed her the shirt, Entitled Kid stomped out of her stall wearing a simple black sweater. "Ew, that's so ugly!" It was a white shirt with pastel-colored birds. "Just try it on, it's really cute." "No, it's ugly like everything you like. These are real clothes." She pulled a bunch of very skimpy clothes out, like belly shirts, C-shorts that look closer to underwear. "I already told you I don't want you wearing those belly shirts anymore." "Well, I am, and you can't do anything about it." Now, me, my mom, and many other people were getting pissed, so we finished up and left as soon as we could, while Entitled Kid kept screaming while her mom tried to calm her down. Me and my mom looked at other parts of the store for a bit before going to pay for the clothes we liked. At first, we were just talking while standing in the huge line until we heard a familiar voice and noticed Entitled Kid and her mom standing a bit in front of us. Entitled Kid was apparently still mad that her mom wanted her to wear clothes that covered her up a bit, and looking at her, it was clearly visible she hated those kinds of things, while also showing why her mom wanted her to wear simpler clothes. Entitled Kid was wearing all kinds of things that made her look very tacky. She was wearing extremely short shorts where half her butt was already poking out, which had roses, skulls, and lips sewn in very sloppily. A top that showed her stomach but barely covered her breasts that were pushed up by a push-up bra. Very high-heeled shoes she could barely walk on, and earrings almost as big as her whole head. "Listen, you're going to learn to dress like everyone else does, no matter if you like it or not." "But nobody wears pants that come past their knees. I'm gonna get bullied because of you." Yeah, she really said that. I doubt that. "Ugh, I hate you." Entitled Kid actually snatched the clothes her mom was carrying and threw them every which way, grabbed a nearby rack filled with lip balms and threw it over before storming towards the exit, shoving multiple people out of the way as she did so. Before she was outside, she got grabbed by security and kicked and clawed while screaming bloody murder. The security dragged her off into what I guess was an office, and the mom did nothing to help her, too busy apologizing for Entitled Kid's behavior while gathering the clothes from people and picking up the lip balm. As soon as we were outside, my mom looked at me and told me she was happy I never did something like that. This post from Joe Bear down in the comments sums it up best. So basically, the kid wants clothes from the junior hooker section. Our next Reddit post is from Oil Not Olive. It's that time of year again, where kids are going back to school and high school seniors are making that awkward transition to become college freshmen. During this time of year, I work as an orientation leader to help new students adjust to the campus by showing them around, helping them move, and making sure they go to their orientation sessions. While the majority of them are uncooperative little turds who moan and groan about having to go to every little session, Entitled Kid has been grating my nerves all week. Entitled Kid brought a skateboard to college. At first I thought nothing about it, since there's nothing special about that. Lots of people have skateboards. I, myself, even had one in middle school before I realized how terrified I am of going downhill. However, Entitled Kid insists on riding it everywhere, including inside buildings. Multiple orientation leaders have told her to get the F off of it while inside, but Entitled Kid insists every time that she has special permission to be on it. Entitled Kid never names who exactly gave her this permission. None of the orientation leaders were notified that she had any type of disability or accommodations needed, such as with a couple of other incoming freshmen. Entitled Kid has even managed to piss off the nicest professor on campus, because she was riding around on her skateboard as he's giving instructions for an icebreaker game. It's not another session about plagiarism or codes of conduct, but a game. Something fun where you get to move around, but no, Entitled Kid couldn't wait 2 minutes. I'm honestly hoping Entitled Kid becomes part of our 30% turnover rate sooner than later. I would bet my entire YouTube channel that her special permission came from her mommy. Our next Reddit post is from Sonora Boy. A little background. My younger sister, who for the sake of names we'll call Jane. She's extremely entitled in the way that she believes that what I get, she should get. Even if she hasn't earned it and thinks that she can get anything she wants if she bats her eyes. Keep in mind that she's a freshman in high school and I'm a junior in high school. October of 2019, I got an amazing opportunity to go abroad. Not only to one country, but to 3. Ireland, England, and France. With the condition that I would keep up my foreign language studies. I did my mom one better. I started taking American Sign Language courses and then took up French online. So far in sign language, I can create full sentences and communicate flawlessly, but French has been taking me some time. My little sister is extremely close-minded about foreign languages to the point where she's banned them in her room, meaning I'm not allowed to speak any foreign languages in her room or around her. She says it makes her uncomfortable. After my mom agreed to the study abroad program, which will happen in the summer of 2021, my mom said that if Jane wanted to go abroad like me, she would have to pick up a foreign language. She refused. Jane also got an offer to go stay at Ivy League colleges the summer of 2020, but because my family comes from a small rural town in Midwestern America, we don't really have enough money to spend on both our trips, and so my mom made the executive decision that I've worked for my trip more than she has. Although I think it's heartbreaking that she can't have her trip, what she did after made me realize that she really didn't deserve it. Keep in mind that this is only one conversation out of many that we've had about it. This is the conversation we had the morning after my mom's executive decision. Hey OP, don't you think you could take the next abroad trip? I'll never get this chance again. Sorry Jane, this trip means a lot to me. But you'll get another chance in college to go, and you never do anything anyway. So will you. Local colleges take a lot of trips abroad. Don't start with I don't do anything at home. Don't get so defensive, I'm just stating the obvious. Plus, I'm worried about you. Worried? Yeah, I'm scared you'll try to kill yourself again. Last year around that time, I was diagnosed with MDD, but after 7 months of therapy, I've been managing it. Listen, I just got out of therapy, and don't forget you've had emotional issues in the past too. Mom said you didn't deserve it as much as me, and if you would just take Spanish or American Sign Language, I'm in America. Well, that attitude is the reason Mom said you couldn't go. Jane then tried to tell my mom that I said I was going to kill myself in England. And after successfully completing therapy, I had to go back for another consultation and test. Mom almost gave the trip to Jane, but luckily I passed with flying colors on the mental exam, or whatever it's called. I'm still able to go on my trip, and every now and then she tries to persuade me to give up my trip. How can you say, I live in America, when someone suggests learning American Sign Language? ASL was invented in America, making it literally more American than the English language. Our next Reddit post is from TelxReb. My school has some of the nicest teachers you'll ever meet, but some of the worst students. Because of this, students tend to hate all of these teachers for essentially doing their jobs. My teachers love telling stories about students who threaten them with their parents, saying they'll bring their mom or dad into this, and sometimes even saying that their parents would fight the teacher. I never had any doubt that these stories were true, but I once got to actually witness it. I had this teacher for 3rd period, and her 4th was planning. This means she didn't have a class and was given time to do lesson plans and such. In 3rd period that day, I was working on a cooking project with my partner, and our teacher was telling us about a girl in one of our earlier classes who had been on her phone the entire time, and how she had thrown a tantrum when the teacher took it. Our school's policy states that for the first offense, it would be taken until the end of class. The second, the end of the day, and if that happened, the student's parents would have to come to pick it up. Our teacher was pretty lenient, however, and told the girl that she herself could get it from her at the end of the day, as her last class was planning period. My cooking project ended up taking a while longer than I thought, and was not something I could just put on pause. So I stayed well into 4th period to finish my project, after asking my teacher for that period for permission. The cooking area was behind a wall in the middle of the room, meaning that when the girl entered to retrieve her phone, she didn't know I was in there. The interaction went a little like this. "I'm here for my phone." "Okay, but before I let you have it, do you understand why I took it from you?"
"I guess, whatever, just give it to me."
"Why did I take it from you?" The entitled kid just shrugs. "You're not allowed to have phones out in my class."
"Well, I was texting my mom for something."
"Which I would have given you permission to do if you'd asked."
"Whatever, just give it to me."
"You better not catch an attitude with me, girl. I'll send it down to the office."
"Yeah, and I'll send my mama up here on you. She won't appreciate this. You can't keep my phone."
"I can, and I will. It'll be down in the office for your parent to pick up after school. And, sweetie, I ain't afraid of your mama." The interaction goes on like this for a while before the student storms out and my teacher goes to take her phone to the front office. She asked me not to leave the room while she's gone in case the girl came back and tried to steal my teacher's phone. When the teacher returned, she was laughing about how crazy and entitled some students can be, and thanking me for always being on my best behavior. We had a good talk before she had to go to a meeting, and the girl didn't return to the classroom while I was there. Our next Reddit post is from Arnieth. This is a story from when I was much younger, so I don't remember all the details incredibly well. But after reading things in these groups and listening to people like rSlash on YouTube, hey, that's me! I thought this would be worth a share. The conversations are definitely approximations to what happened. When I was in primary school, around year 4 or 5, I saved up all my pocket money and bought myself the brand new Nintendo DS, the original clunky silver one, and a couple of games, including Animal Crossing Wild World. Not hugely important, but oddly one of the details I remember most about this story because I loved that game. Spent most of my time playing it and was pissed about what happened to it, and a couple of others I still have lying around somewhere. Entitled Kid was a friend of mine at school. We would talk a lot about games and game consoles we wanted to play, so when I got my DS, he was understandably quite jealous, and would constantly tell me
"How cool it is that you have one,"
and how he
"Wish my parents would get me one so we could play together."
Rather than us taking turns to play for a bit, he had a person in my town so he could do things too. I like to think that I was relatively generous for a kid my age, that I was willing to share it all, though I think that may also have been my mistake. One day after school, Entitled Kid comes over to my house and we spend the evening playing games on the PS2 and Animal Crossing on the DS. He was only there for a couple of hours, but when his dad turned up, he legged it to the door and was gone quite quickly. I didn't think anything of it until I couldn't find my DS anywhere. I asked my parents and brother, but none of them had moved it or could see it in the room we were playing in. The next day at school, no social media or phone back then, I asked Entitled Kid about it, to which he said,
"I have no idea, but you can borrow mine if you want."
I was a bit confused by this, but assumed he'd finally convinced his parents to get him one, so I said sure. He brings it in the next day, and it's immediately clear this is not a new console. It's mine. There are the same scratches and small dent on the bottom right corner from where I dropped it while on holiday. The game inside is, unsurprisingly, a copy of Animal Crossing that has been clearly reset and then started over. He hadn't even made the effort to do more than name his character, so it's becoming increasingly clear that this is my stolen DS. I'm an awkward kid though, so I don't bring it up with him and assume it's all done. I clearly wasn't a smart kid. I hold on to it for a couple of weeks before he asks me,
Hey, could you give me back my DS? Or better yet, I'll let you keep it for £100.
they cost around 100 pounds new at the time, to which I responded, I don't have that much, but I'll talk to my dad about it. And he says,
That's fine.
Fun fact about my dad, he knows me better than I realized, in particular that I was a very trusting kid, so was likely to lose my expensive gadgets by sharing them. As such, when I got my DS, he made notes of lots of details about it, including the serial number which can be found on the bottom of the console. Perfect match for the one in my hand. We have proof this is my console now and decided it's time to mess with him. When I next saw him, he asked about it and I told him that we were still deciding. We continued deciding for the next 5 years. We were part of the same friendship group in secondary school, so he would periodically ask for the money whenever he thought of something he wanted. Even started saying he'd charge interest. Still, we just couldn't decide. In our final year of secondary school, my DS finally broke completely. They had a problem where the hinges would break, and mine had gone completely, so the top screen didn't show anything and the system was practically unusable. This is when we finally made a decision and gave him back the console. He was obviously pissed and said he wanted the money too, at which point I told him all about the serial number and the fact it was registered with our insurance company since before he gave it to us. He turned pale, gave me the console back, and barely spoke to me again for the rest of the year. I went to a different school for sixth form, but if I ever saw him again, it was brilliantly awkward. That was rSlash, and if you like this video, then be sure to hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.